for joining us today. My name is Rashida Ben-Sharif. I'm the Manager of Customer Success at Vendasta. So on session one, about 2 weeks ago on April 30th, Jeff Leibel took us, laid out the landscape, the AI shift, the market opportunity, and the mandate for agencies to evolve. Today, we go tactical. Session two is about the motion that turns your existing book into a growth engine, the strategic business review. Done right, it upsells without selling, locks in renewals before they're at risk, and makes you unfireable. Keegan Pidwebeski, Senior Sales Manager here at Vendasta, is going to walk you through how exactly to run an SBR, including how to use the data already living in your Vendasta platform. Keegan will show you how to turn that data into a growth conversation that your clients have never had with anyone else. Please welcome Keegan.
Hello, hello. Can everyone hear me all right? Give me some thumbs up in the chat, please. Fantastic. Well, I'm super excited to be hosting today's webinar. And it looks like I nailed the song choice based on the reacts in the chat there. So yeah, hope that you guys are having a fantastic day so far. I'll give you a little bit of an introduction, and then we're going to go over the agenda for today's session. So my name is Keegan Pidwebeski. I am a Senior Sales Manager here at Vendasta. So I lead a team of both account managers as well as CSMs. And we've got a book of business about $2.2 million per month across 600 partnerships. Myself, I've been working in the digital marketing space for about a decade, and 6 of those years at Vendasta. And if you ever want to chat about something not digital marketing related, talk to me about fishing. It is my pride and joy. I was just telling Rashid about all my plans with my boat this weekend. So yeah, really excited about today's session here, and let's kick it off. Alrighty, so the term strategic business review. I want to kick off with just like the definition, because you're going to hear me say the word or the acronym SBR quite a bit. But basically what it is a structured scheduled meeting with a vendor, partner, or client, and it's designed to really evaluate the health and performance of the relationship, be sure that you're aligned on the goals, and identify areas for growth improvement. Where your strategic advantage is most of your competitors are not doing this whatsoever. And the ones that are doing it on their clients' terms rather their own terms. So what does this look like in agency world? The strategic business review is really comprised of your performance review. So looking at KPIs, adoption metrics, ROI, any sort of outcomes since either they signed or since your last review. And then it's going to be aligning yourself with the client's goals. Things change frequently in business, including goals or the business environment that they're working with, making sure that you're consistently reassessing where your client's at to make sure that you are delivering outcomes that's aligned to where they're going is going to be key to success. The executive presence is another big element. So if you have someone on your team, it might be yourself who has the high-end title, maybe the founder or the sales manager, which is my title. It's really helpful because it helps kind of bring out some of the folks that don't always join your calls or reach out to you. So yeah, here's what the agenda is going to look like for today. So we're going to talk about SBRs as a cadence. Really how often, what's a bad cadence, and what's the cost of having no cadence. We're also going to be discussing the structure of an SBR. Like, what does this meeting actually look like? What's the content within it? And we will talk about a very good trick that I recommend you guys all work on is upselling in advance. I won't spoil too much at this point. The last one I'm going to talk about is building referral program. Usually delivered on your SBRs. So today's session, I'm going to have 6 polls. So in those polls, it'll be like a voting system so we can see how the audience is, actually performing on the certain areas. Maybe not performing is the right word, but where you guys are at. And then we're also going to end the session with 10 minutes of Q&A. I am not going to be able to see a lot of the chats. I'll see some of them, but the Q&As at the very end, we're going to go through them. So if you have any throughout the session, you can pop them in there. They'll all be saved till the very end. Cool. Alrighty, let's jump into the first segment here, and we're going to talk about the SBR cadence, really turning this retention motion historically, where it's like, hey, I don't want this client to churn, into an engine for growth for your business. So, the number one thing that I hear from partners when they're talking about their cadence with their client is that they avoid talking to their clients at all costs because they feel like that's when a lot of the churn happens. And I think it's more of a symptom than necessarily the source. They're churning because they need to talk to you at a certain point to cancel. But the folks that I see winning the most are actually having more structured meetings that they're trying to get a hold of right at the beginning of the partnership. So I've talked to a lot of partners, been blessed with getting to meet with, I'm estimating over 1,000 partners over the last 6 years, all agencies, whether they're in, account management or support roles, all the way up to owner founders. What I have found consistently is that a cadence is going to be specific for your client set, but this is one that I think I've seen as tried and true. So if you're looking at your top accounts, we're talking like that top 10 to 20% of your book of business. I recommend, if they'll let you, a monthly cadence. And so why? Because that sounds like a lot, but it is your highest value, but your highest potential client. So the value is more the retention side. If you know that's the most that you could potentially grow that client, great. We have to keep the cash cows within your book of business. But the highest potential clients are the ones that you could actually legitimately grow large. And so we want to overinvest with that segment of your book of business so that you have the best opportunity for growth. For the remainder of your book, I recommend a quarterly cadence. I know there's a lot of different agencies that maybe you have quarterly contracts, maybe it's month to month, but on average, most of our clients call it their SBR or actual contract cadence would be a 1 year. And so this gives you the opportunity to upsell and really review, reset throughout the year to be sure that you're taking the time to reset, show them that you know their business and that you're aligned with what's changed since you first met. Regardless of if you choose monthly, quarterly, biannually, I think what's most important is having that cadence and making sure that your client knows about the cadence beforehand. And I'll explain why. So I think one of the most reoccurring topics that I hear from agencies that I talk about is that pain in the ass client, the one that just is a time suck. And it seems to always be the one that pays you the least, or at least close to the least. They want more for no additional dollars. And so the added benefit for setting a structure with your clients is that it sets the expectation with that client on what is a normal time for us to meet and not calling you at Saturday night at 11 p.m. because they are upset about something. Um, it's okay. I'm not talking about like the service things. If something's legitimately, going wrong, probably you're going to have to know about it before the quarterly business review. But I'm talking about big picture structure stuff. It protects your time with those clients. Okay, we're going to jump into our first poll here. And so I'm calling it a strategic business review. That's like an industry term, but a regular cadence meeting. Are you having them with your client? If yes, how frequently are you having those meetings with your top clients? Right now, a dead even 50-50, moving up to more of a monthly. I would be surprised. There's probably a lot of folks that would be in the no cadence bucket, and it's okay if you are because it's more common than you think. A lot of our partners have no cadence right now, but the whole goal of this call is to really show you what the benefit of setting that cadence is. Right on. Okay, so it looks like we're about 67% is monthly and followed by that quarterly. One more poll I've got here, and that's going to be the average account. So think about the accounts that would be that 80 to 90% of your book of business, your client portfolio. So more of a quarterly cadence, still lots of folks on monthly. Yep. Alrighty, so it looks like about a 40% split on quarterly, 27% on monthly, and 20% no cadence. So if we're looking at I'm specifically talking to you folks who are of the whenever they want to meet or no cadence currently. So roughly 30% of our group here doesn't have this cadence. So I'm hoping that we can bring you over to the bright side here of having this strategic business review set in place. Okay, I'm gonna keep going here. Okay, so this section here, what I'm going to talk about is the actual structure, the meat and potatoes of what this looks like. So, if we're looking at high level before we jump into each second section, it really is comprised of like four different key phases. So, there's the opening and the rapport building. So, think about that quick check in, setting the agenda, rules of engagement, which we'll discuss soon, and really the desired outcomes of that meeting. Next, you're going to be going into the discovery conversation. So, really forward looking questions, talking about business priorities, pain points, growth goals. It's a check in so that you understand what your client is actually going through and where they're at. I'm going to then walk through the executive report and how we can turn both, pain points, let's say underperformance areas, as well as highlights into potential streams of additional revenue. And then finally, I'm going to talk about the recommendation and next steps. Okay, so if we are looking at the first 5 minutes, I preach this with my team very frequently. And I think it's the most important 5 minutes of the entire call. And so I've learned from a company called P Club, actually, unpaid shout out. I just like their content, more on the sales training side of things, but something called the rules of engagement. And there's three components to that. So that would be the align on the objective, align on the agenda, and then align on the next decision. So what does that look like? So really just making sure that everyone understands what the objective of today's call is, what we're going to discuss, and then by the end of this call, I'd like us to agree on X next steps. It's a really good structure to use for any meeting that you have, and it allows for a really smooth transition between banter like how's the family, how's the kids, those kinds of conversations, to more of like call it a soft transition into an agenda, and it gives you the opportunity to control that conversation so that you're really driving the next 40 minutes. Okay, quick sip of water here. All right, so for the discovery questions, I really like to focus on three main buckets, if you would. So, business priorities. So, that's going to be like your top goals over the next 90 days, is a good question to ask. Or any sort of constraints. So, that's going to be like pain points within their business, could be operational, and we'll talk about that as well. And then more open-ended questions like what is the areas that you could potentially have the biggest impact. So by asking these kinds of questions, what are the benefits that you're going to get? A lot of it's going to be around one, understanding your customer better so that you can service them best. The other side is it's going to show them that you really do understand their business and you're not just they're not just another number, another client. It's helping them understand that we're on the same team. We've got the same goals. I understand your goals, which means that we are partners in this journey together of trying to help your business grow, because that's really how we are able to provide value to the market, is helping them grow and expand. Um, what I would say is if we're looking at a ongoing strategic business review, maybe they've been a client for 1 year, leading out the discovery questions would be a build up on what you've talked about before. So it's like, hey, I know that you told me last time we talked that um, recently a competitor moved into your area and you're losing a lot of clients. Is that still something that's a major concern or priority for you this quarter? And so just asking those qualifying questions that have built from what you have just comes with good preparation, notes in the CRM, reviewing what you discussed last time will get you set up for success on that SBR that you're about to have. Okay, so once we've done our discovery segment, we'd be moving to the actual ROI reporting and the executive report. And so, why I like the executive report is that it's already pre-built. They already know what's coming. If you've got it set to automatically send out, weekly and/or monthly. But the pro tip for this would be to set it for last quarter or a specific date range. So it can be helpful to set the executive report from the day that they started working with you till the current date, or you could look at, let's say they've been a client for two quarters. You could take a look at the trend over the last couple quarters, and then walk them through that. And so what you should know before that is exactly where the pain points are going to be and where the huge wins are at. And so going into that meeting, you've got your screens pre-populated, you've reviewed them, and you've made a game plan for that meeting so that you're going to be able to deliver the message correctly. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how to actually generate opportunities off of the executive report. So if we are looking at a couple different examples, there's no way that everyone's marketing is a 10 on 10. There's going to be weak points that could be potentially improved on. So if you're looking at like someone with a bad review score overall, potentially they're not using the tool. You just sold the tool and they need to, actually use it in order to generate more reviews and improve their response time. Um, it could be an area where you could offer something like Reputation AI Premium, where you set up automatic NPS and review requests being sent out to their existing clients, or you could set up the service for like auto review response. Um, Maybe you're doing a ad campaign and you're generating a lot of new web visitors, and we're seeing like, hey, these leads aren't coming through. I only got 3 leads and 426 visitors from this campaign. Great. Potentially, what you could frame it as, because likely what the problem is a lead capture problem. So the leads, either the messaging's not great on the website, or the actual capture point's not there, or we could move to an additional capture point like the conversational AI. It's really just framing it as, hey, this is what we should work on next, instead of, oh, let's look at this problem here. It's an opportunity for you to grow with that client and continue to provide value based off of what's really happening in their business. Okay, so the bright spots are the easy ones, but I think that something that we miss the opportunity at times for is to really pour gas on the fire. And so, ad spend is a very obvious one. If, ads are converting well, we're getting a great ROI, let's add more spend. But there's additional areas that we can get some wins beyond that. So if traffic is up, great. Let's do a audit of the landing page. Let's put in our conversational AI web chat and start automating some of that cadence and that follow up to really nurture those leads and be sure that we're converting them. If we're looking at the website, it just went live, looks gorgeous, client's happy about it. Perfect. It's time to get some people to that website to actually look at it and see what a beautiful masterpiece that we've created together. So it might be local SEO, paid media in order to get that traffic. An analogy that I heard years ago was building a website without local SEO or paid media is like building a hotel in a desert with no roads to it. We got to build those roads so that customers can find it. So, yeah, basically just taking those opportunities where they're winning and finding supplementary offerings that are going to fit really well. Okay, so the big takeaway I want to talk about from walking in with that strategic business review is that you should have a plan. You can see the report, you can see what they're struggling with, and you can see where they're winning with. And both of them really should have more of a like we're changing the plan that's currently happening right now or adding on top of it so that you can realign, be sure that you're showing them that you're constantly monitoring and adjusting the strategy to be sure that they're successful in the long run. Okay, one second here. So if we're looking at the finishing of the strategic business review and the actual upsell, you've already planted the seeds on what those areas should be. You've built out a package that you think makes sense. You've aligned with your clients that you understand what their priorities are. And you've taken a look to see the areas for growth and the areas to dump some extra gas on it because you're winning there. And so you're delivering that with one recommendation and an agreed upon next step. And so a strong close, what that looks like is we are going to activate Reputation AI before your next review cycle. I'll send you the setup summary on Friday rather than on the what kills momentum side. The meeting's ending without a decision. The next strategic business review starts from scratch. It's really just having that next step that you already discussed at the very beginning of the call and following up with it and making sure that you wrap up any of the action items that were discussed on that call. Okay, little bit of a break here. I want to hear what you guys are currently using for the executive report. Are you using it on SBRs? I would love to get some feedback on that. Depends on the meeting context. Fair enough. Yep. I imagine if it's a new website client build and you are just doing a website for them to kick off, probably the executive report doesn't make sense yet. Now I wish I had the multi-choice on here so I could understand the contacts when you don't and do. Righty. So we got a lot of folks here that are on the um, depends on the meeting context. I did sniff out one example where that would make sense. A website build, you haven't put the website left live yet. That does make a lot of sense. Alrighty, we'll jump back into it here. I'm going to talk about our next segment here, which is upselling in advance. And so this is really the planting the phase two, is what I like to call it, seed before the ink dries on phase one. And so, what does this look like? This looks like a multi step sale. So, your initial proposal wouldn't necessarily just be the immediate website build. It's also going to be once this website is live, we need to build some roads to that hotel in the desert. And we're going to reassess, look at launching SEO and ads. Another example would be ads are performing well. If the ads are performing well at the 3-month mark, we are going to plan to expand the channels or we are going to add additional spend. Or if we find that we are generating lots of leads and we don't necessarily have a way to follow up and optimize the sales structure, great. We're going to assess building out your CRM and your sales cadence through automations and AI. And so really what this looks like is it's a bit of a shift. You're not an order taker, like a waiter at coming around the restaurant with the table saying, hey, do you want an extra refill on Coke? It's really, I'm the expert. You're paying me because I understand how to help your business grow. It's phase two that we're going to be unlocking some additional value. We're going to revisit at that time. If you plant the seeds early on, it doesn't become an upsell. It's going to be an expected conversation where you're working with that client to really help them hit their goals. You're explaining the process and why it takes time between each one, and we're not just doing it all at once. Um, and so, something that I found pretty frequently is that the agencies that are reassessing continuously, or especially early on, are retaining for the long term. So, where's the biggest areas for phase two? A lot of the times, it's going to be that AI, and productivity space because it's new to everyone. So, I'm assuming that, let's say you've got a client that's you've done full stack digital marketing for 3, 4 years. Chances are they're not set up with automated CRM follow up or using AI for lead capture or voice capture, or automated review responses. That's going to be a major area that I think most people on the call could likely bring up on it, on their next SBR. Another area would be moving into the more AEO conversation. So it's obviously the hot topic. There's a million different acronyms for AI SEO, whatever you want to call it. From what I understand, the foundations are still very similar to what matters with Google SEO. And so reviews seem to be a lot of a larger driver. Things like Reddit are becoming really popular, but using our call it the tried and true channels of making sure listings are syndicated. There's excellent content on the website. Social posting is now becoming quite large. I don't know if you guys saw Google's update today, but that's for another conversation. Reputation is a large part, though. And then obviously advertising. If you're already running an ad for campaign for them, expanding the channels that you're advertising on, expanding to like a retargeting campaign might make sense down the line. And then, yeah, kicking off Matchcraft managed ads for any new campaigns. Okay, so we actually did a study about 5 years ago across our channel partners, the folks on this call, your clients. We took quantitative data to actually prove that the 90-day window is legitimately the best time to upsell. So across 20,000 clients, what we saw was that it had the highest impact of client lifetime value by by upselling at the 3 month mark. What it shows clients is that you're reevaluating early, and it's a very high leverage move to be sure that you're staying aligned with them. You got to think of it from like the customer's perspective, right? Let's say you were to purchase a service that is monthly reoccurring, and then you do not hear from that person you purchased from, but you're still paying every single month versus that person taking the time to reassess with you. It is a huge high leverage kind of activity that you can use on your clients there. Um, it's not necessarily like it has to be on the 90-day. Maybe it's in the, if you're talking about first 3 months, it might make sense to have a 30-day and a 60-day. But long term, what the data is showing is that it is the most impactful client lifetime value indicators if you get that resell in. Cool. Alrighty, let's jump into the next poll here. So, do you introduce a phase two type of sell? Obviously, that's what I'm calling it, but during the initial sell process, really call it a roadmap, like a 1 year, 6 month roadmap for what the additional services would look like. All right, this one's a little bit more split on the room. Every time is leading in a little bit. I like that. Good chunk of folks not doing it yet. Right on. This is the most split group that I've seen, but this is I think the secret sauce that a lot of agency owners kind of keep to themselves is like that roadmap to the next upsell makes it not an upsell. You're telling the client in advance what this roadmap, if we are successful, looks like. We build you a banging website. We have to get people there, or else why did we build it? If we are generating a lot of traffic and getting positive ROAS, guess what? We're going to spend more money because it is printing you extra coins. So, yeah, I love it. This one's a real split one. I like to see it. Okay, I'm going to talk about the last segment of this. It's more of the referral program side, which I think is the perfect time to actually deliver this would be during that upsell. And if they buy more from you, chances are they're happy. It wasn't an accident. They are genuinely wanting to stick with you for the long run. And so I think probably the lowest hanging fruit for a lot of agencies is building out a structured program for these referrals. Okay, I'm going to tell a story of one of our partners. He told me this story about, I don't know, 5 years ago, and it has stuck with me. And I've told it to a lot of agencies because it's just so sticky. So he had one client that provided him 15 referrals, and all of it was cost neutral. So 15 new paying clients that he got from it. And so the program that he runs is providing one free month of service, standardized, of course. If they're running, $50,000 in ads, probably not going to do that free for a month. But think like your local business app pro kind of standardized service, more in the reasonable range. For every one client that is referred and successfully signs, they get one free month of service. So he had a client that got 15 months of free service, which is unbelievable, right? You look at that as from a cost basis, right? That first month, sure, he's giving away like the wholesale cost of the services, but he's also getting net new dollars that he signed. So his margin's going to be low to neutral if he's running a 50% margin, neutral on that first month. Every month after that is incremental margin. So you're really just like trading that cost of acquisition for cost of service instead of, running ads or, you know, busting your ass cold calling. It's a way to incentivize the folks that you already have. So I want to talk about a structure that I think is successful here. And it doesn't need to be anything crazy. We're talking about like a one pager that looks really nice. Maybe you developed it with AI and touch it up, but it really just needs to be a very clearly defined incentive. Like, what is it that they're going to get? They need to remember it. If you have a bunch of clauses, ifs, buts, and or whats, it's not going to be sticky enough for them to remember. But if you make the incentive, one, lucrative, and two, easy to remember, likely you're going to get referrals. And then create that one pager asset, something that you can actually send to them. Potentially, you could even promote it via like drip campaigns after your strategic business review. And so I want to just talk about the timing there. So, with a strategic business review, let's say you do get that upsell, that is prime time to ask for a referral. That means they are beyond happy. And so there's never the wrong time to, start doing this. But I think that if you build it into your conversations with your existing clients, it will be an absolute game changer. It's unbelievable. Some of these partners that I've talked to that have been in the game for a long time and have a great name for themselves and have a structure like this, they quit doing marketing for themselves. Like, they're not spending ad dollars. They're not necessarily got the big sales machine. And I mean, I'm a little skeptical about that. I'm sure there's still some dollars that are associated with cost of acquisition, but they really do, like, it's not uncommon for me to talk to people that have like a 50% or even crazier, better than that referral base. So that leads me to the next one here, because I'm really curious. Like, I hear people talk about it, but I want to know, do you have a formal referral program yet for your clients here? Strong nose. Ooh. Wow. Okay. 92% no. It's easier than you think. Just make it nice and simple, easy to remember, build out a basic sales asset that you can take with them. Print it out if you have an in-office selling system and you're not doing virtual meets as something that looks really pretty, but 94% or no. I honestly, like, speaking to you guys all, I think this is the biggest game changer that you could potentially make in your uh, overall sales. If you have happy clients, you've got existing clients, and you're setting up strategic business reviews with them, asking for the referral can be a really big break into a new market. A lot of agencies that I've talked to that end up in a specific niche, like an actual niche that, like maybe plumbers, for examples. It's not because they're an expert in plumbing. It's because they had a lighthouse client that introduced them to a bunch of other plumbers in other cities, and it really helped them build out that niche and become that expert in it. So, awesome. I have one more poll here after that. Um, I'm curious what percentage of your clients are coming from referrals. So less than 10% is about a quarter. Biggest bucket's about 10 to 25%. And we're looking at the next biggest bucket, 25 to 50%, smaller group in that 50 plus range. There are folks that are there. I believe it. I've talked to folks about 80+% referrals. They're unicorns, no doubt about it. So if we're looking at our group overall, like the big lion's share, we're in that 10 to 25%, some a little higher, some a little bit lower. Could you imagine if you guys had or have built an actual structured referral program, what we could get those numbers up to? I bet you it's closer to 50% range or even above it. Um, Definitely worth doing. Okay. All right. I'm going to talk about a few of the things, just wrapping up the more formal portion of this session. So, what can you do to start this strategic business review playbook? So, you can set up a cadence with your clients. It doesn't take long, but identify your top 20% of your accounts, figure out what the cadence that works for yourself, your account managers, your account executives, and set that cadence with them on the more frequent basis. What I recommend monthly, but there's no right answer for everyone. It's all depending on what works best for you. The next thing that you would work on is booking quarterly business review with the rest of your book of business. Um, what the next days look like, it's really opening that executive report, doing the preparation that we talked about, walking through it, and leaving the call with clear steps, which is going to be that proposal, the upsell, what you're working on expanding with them. And then the second part's going to be the phase two language. Add it to your new proposals, build out that referral one pager, and introduce the program to the next happy client that you're talking to. Happy clients are great. What's even better is a happy client that's happy enough to introduce you to a new friend of yours there. So that's my recommendation for the next 30 days here. And how can you work with us? I recommend booking some time with your account manager or customer success managers. Definitely you can talk about them and have a strategic business review about your business with us. We're all in the same place here, and we want to talk to you about the new stuff that we can provide you value with. And you can reach out to me directly as well. Keegan Pidwebeski, it's kpidwebeski at vendasta.com. And just remember that acquisition is typically your most expensive dollar. You already paid it. Stop spending it again. All right. That concludes the end of this session. I would love to move over to the Q&A here. It looks like we have some already queued up. Yep. Rashid is just getting it dialed in. Okay, is a strategic business review with an existing client or a prospect? Why would we have a discovery call with a current client? Okay, this is really good. So, strategic business review would be Like both, to be honest with you. Your prospect call, where you're having that initial discovery, is going to be more broad based. So high level, really starting to get the picture together of what that business is doing. When you're looking at the discovery segment for the existing clients, it's really understanding the deeper levels and context that you may not have gotten. If you look at a married couple, they talk. I'm not married yet. I'm getting married this summer, but I've heard. You learn about someone over the course of the whole life. You're not going to know everyone based off of just that initial prospecting phase. So if you're able to continue to gather information, continue to build, you can understand their needs better and find new areas to provide value. Okay. How do you give a free month of service when set for reoccurring billing? Do you just refund the cost of the monthly? Okay, so we're talking about client billing through the Vendasta system. You would, in that case, you could refund them for the previous month. That's definitely an option. The other one would just be temporarily shutting off the subscription billing so that it doesn't renew. It would still keep the products live within Vendasta. They're not going to lose access. It would just be turning off their renewal for the actual, I call it the upcoming renewal. Okay. Last one for today. Is executive report already available to set up within each client? Yes. What I would say is that part of your onboarding would be like onboarding of that client is making connections and activating the products. So it's available out of the gate, but the data feeding it, you need to have the connections like social accounts are connected, Google Business Profile, Google Analytics. The major ones that are going to be feeding your data have to be connected in order for it to provide, a lot of rich data. Okay, that is the end of our Q&A. I just want to plug for our next session, which is going to be happening Thursday, same time. This is going to be run by Nate McCorkindale, and he's going to be discussing from agency to AI agency. Nate McCorkindale is a senior account manager on my team. I have in there genuinely a good dude. I like him quite a bit. But yeah, Nate's been working with us here at Vendasta for 4 years. I've had him on my team for, I think about 2 years now. So really exciting. I just want to take the time now to thank you all for joining us on this second installment of the sales and strategy series with Vendasta. My name is Keegan Pidwebeski. I hope you guys have a fantastic day and go upsell some clients. Take care all.